stay a while and listen as I give away more details about the book I'm writing, because I feel like putting my thoughts down in these videos actually kind of helps me make them more concrete. And I know you guys, at least some of you, I hope, enjoy getting little glimpses.
Absolutely not. No way, Jose. No chance, Lance. Yet, negatory. Nah. And of course, my own personal favorite of all time, man falling off of a cliff. No!
I haven't made a ton of progress of physically writing pages recently, largely because I've been moving, extraordinarily busy, trying to figure things out and get money back from an apartment complex that stole it from me. But that's a whole other thing. But we're gonna, in this video, kind of really quickly sum up the things I've been saying so far and dive into more information I want to talk about in the overall setting of the story and some of the influences from our real life history, as every fantasy author does, that I'm pulling from to really craft the bigger themes. Is that the word I need to use here? I think I'm just going to go with that and move on. So we've discussed the fact that the time period this will be set in is roughly comparable to the Civil War era in America. You have revolvers, shoot-bangs, repeating rifles, certainly trying to move further away from muskets, though those were still around during the Civil War. But the advancement of weaponry seemed to be at an all-time high in humanity. Creativity being used with new guns, new ways to shoot people as effectively as possible was rapidly making Napoleonic tactics, which had been used for a long time, quickly become obsolete. This is why we saw things in, only a few decades later in World War I be trench warfare, because no one really knew how to handle the insanity that just having these incredibly efficient killing machines brought to the battlefield. So to me, that's really interesting. I like that if I can take a fantasy story and set it in an environment where magic needs to be competing with technology to even maybe be the most efficient killing tool, that can only raise the stakes. If your average person can pull a gun and shoot a wizard and kill them, maybe suddenly the wizards aren't as secure as they've been before. That's just an idea I've been playing with. It's certainly been done before, but I'd like to take my own spin on it. I think I could shoot Harry Potter before he could cast a spell. So I think you or I with a gun probably gonna kill Harry Potter. Just saying, his love curse can't stop that. Bullet would go right through his baby little head. Moving on. I've also talked about the political environment I want to set the story in, have echoings of America once again during the Manifest Destiny period of its history, when we felt like we had the right to the country. We kicked all the peoples out of their lands because, of course, we had the right to take it. It's land, and we were America. Let's settle it. Obviously, the actual situation is much more nuanced than that, but that bare bones description is what I want to pull from to help really set the plot in motion for a lot of the larger events that I will be crafting here. I'm trying to keep this as vague as possible. I'm really trying to avoid spoilers here.
Soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it!
And maybe this is me trying to go too far, but I didn't want to have just another fantasy story with guns that pulled from some part in history for its ideology. I wanted to try and put it in a setting that would feel a little different. And I was doing a little bit of research into a theater of warfare that's always fascinated me, and that's island hopping campaigns, because there's a level of just horribleness to an island hopping campaign that really isn't seen in other terrains of war. Obviously, others have their own horribleness to them, but there's a specific few features of island hopping campaigns that fascinate me. How basically every engagement can be something entirely new because an island has a different terrain. The people have fortified in a different way. Maybe they'll engage you on the beaches. Maybe they'll make you come hunting for them. Having an island hopping campaign really sets each new scenario in this entirely new environment. And there's so many different stages to taking an island, securing it, hoping there's not people who are just wandering, hiding in the island, waiting for you to let your guard down. And you are really trapped there with the enemy. You can try and retreat, but as always with warfare, a retreat will come at great cost, especially when you have to pile everyone on boats and try and get out. That's not a good thing, especially with modern warfare guns being introduced. So taking the idea of Manifest Destiny, conquering other lands into an island hopping campaign with new experimental weapons for the world and power struggles building, I thought that would be a neat beginning situation. I want a majority of this story to be taking place on a boat. I like the confined concentration of character that a confined environment like a boat will provide, but allowing the only reprieve from those vessels to be something as intense, violent, scary, and bloody as an island hopping campaign. Really seemed like really seemed to satisfy what I wanted to go for here. And, you know, especially with the boats themselves during this time period being so experimental, we had the first steam engines in boats, we had ironclad vessels, more cannons than ever being piled on, and wooden ships rapidly just becoming utterly obsolete because they could not possibly stand up to the ironclad vessels that were marching out into the oceans. It's a neat time to put a story, and I hope I'm sounding respectful enough. I don't just mean to pull from these periods of history that had a lot of horrible things going on and just purely use them for my own creativity. I'm a student of history. I've loved history since I was a child, and so pulling from these things is something I'm doing delicately. I want to accurately represent the negatives of these time periods, these campaigns, these settings, because there were some horrible, gruesome things that happened during Manifest Destiny, obviously during island hopping campaigns, and I don't want to be one of those writers ever who just represents warfare as some glorious good thing. We killed the baddies, because that's not what war is. There's no just flat out good and bad. There's people murdering each other. And that is my mentality going into writing this. And don't worry, this is just my take on a broader thing within the story. It's not going to be an entirely war-focused story. It's not going to be an entirely even ocean-focused story. Things will happen. This is just kind of my initiating ideas moving forward. Some Patreons have gotten some additional little snippets here and there. They will be getting more in the future, but as of right now, this is my current state of things. I wish I had been writing more recently, honestly, but I've just been so stupidly busy. It's just incredible what moving and getting used to a new location will do to your schedule. My God. Anyway, guys, let me know, what are your kind of alternative fantasy settings? Not just your typical medieval wizard, sword and sorcery type setting. What are some of your favorite fantasy stories that have taken place in not that environment? Give me something to look into for further research. I look forward to seeing those in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you have not already, and hit the Patreon if you want more additional looks into my story into the future. I maybe have about 20 pages done of what I'm planning to be about 500, so that'll be fun. And I've had multiple people ask me if this is planned to be a series or just a one-off book. I'm structuring it to be a one-off book, though I am making it so I could easily come back and continue telling stories in this world. See how I answered that very diplomatically to not give away anything? You don't know how it's going to end. Maybe the main character dies, maybe they don't. It's a story within the world. Maybe not same characters. It's just the world. It's just the world that's looping it in. That's all. Oh, and I settled on a name, but I'm not going to give that away here. No offense. I settled on it. I like it, but I don't know if I love it enough to be like, this is the name, and move on from there. And if you've made it to this far in the video, congratulations. You get additional little things I'm pulling from because of the TV show Chernobyl, which is absolutely fascinating. I've been looking at irradiation a lot, and having something that horrific and awful be involved is something that I'm also looking into. Obviously not directly radiation, but something with a similar side effect being tied in with the magic is something I'm mulling over deeply, and I want to give a lot of thought to, because it's truly, oh my God, what radiation will do to people. And I feel like if I want to show the side effects of using something like magic in warfare, that could be a pretty good, here are the consequences of your actions. At least that's my take on it. Did I already do the like and subscribe? I did. So we're going to go ahead and close it off. I don't know why I decided to throw that little tidbit in at the end, but you got it. It's by no means cemented in, but I'm looking into a radiation-esque consequence to using the magic system. And that's all you get to know about the magic system here. That's it. I already said the outro, so I don't know how to end a video without already being said. Bye.